Hello there, this is your friend Critical, and welcome to the commentary and clip breakdown from my recent Harbinger montage, Shadowfall. If you haven't seen it yet, you can find it right here, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's already checked it out. These videos take a lot of time, so all your kind words and just taking the time to watch it really means a lot to me. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, hey, welcome back. I'm always glad to have you, and I appreciate you spending a little time with me. And if you're a new viewer, a new GW2 player, a new Necromancer player, or hey, maybe you're just somebody who really likes montages, I hope you'll consider sticking around and subscribing, as I have more Guild Wars 2 PvP and World v World content on the channel already that you can check out right now if you want to, and there's more on the way. Before we break down the fights, let's quickly take a look at the gear I'm running in Shadowfall. For weapon selection, I'm mostly running dual one-handed swords and staff. In a previous video, someone asked if you could play Harbinger effectively without a spear. You definitely can, and there are more viable weapon selections other than ones that I run as well. I pretty frequently swap between 3 different weapon set combinations, but we'll dive more into that with the full Harbinger deep dive guide. It's coming soon. TM. Similar to my Land of Wolves montage, which you can check out right here, in Shadowfall I'm running only power builds. My standard gear is currently a mix of Assassin and Berserker, with Cavalier Runes, Fireworks Relic, and Mighty World v World infusions. With Agility and Accuracy, or Celerity and Agility sigils on my dual one-handed swords, Energy and Cleansing, or Celerity and Agility sigils on staff. Of course, if you don't have access to any of these specific stat or equipment options, just shoot for stats and items that are power-oriented. Clicking over to the PvP tab, I'm running the Demolisher Amulet, Link's Rune, and Fireworks Relic, with Exploitation and Battle sigils on dual swords, and Energy and Intelligence or Energy and Cleansing on staff or spear. The build I'm running is on screen now. If you decide to run without a staff, make sure you go to your Blood Magic trait line and switch from Transfusion to Blood Bank. Alright, intro covered, let's dive into the clip breakdowns. First up is a 1v2 against a Platinum Champion Renegade and a Champion Daredevil. I dismount the Renegade with a Warclaw Spear and fire off a Sword 2, instantly activating the follow-up cast to sacrifice a bit of health to do more damage. The Thief +1s onto me with Sword 2, and I dodge in case they follow up quickly with a Steal. Coming out of dodge, I activate Spec Walk to give some rolling Condi clear, swiftness, and a recall point in case I have to kite away. With such a tightly clustered engagement, I toss Elixir of Ignorance in the middle of the 3 of us, giving myself resistance, protection, and blight stacks, as well as applying blind to both enemies. Please notice I have now used both of my available stun breaks, Spec Walk and Elixir of Ignorance, without being stunned. This is definitely a bit of a gamble on my part, but sometimes the best defense is offense, and I'm using these utilities offensively and aggressively. I follow up with my heal, Elixir of Promise, and I'm also going for my elite, Elixir of Ambition, but I cut the cast short by entering Shroud. If you're familiar with my content and my Reaper guide from a couple years ago, you might not be surprised that I've cut my elite short yet again by entering Shroud. All the habits. The Thief hits me with a Dagger 5 and vanishes into stealth. I leap through the Renegade's red stuff with Shroud 4, but I turn back into it, knowing that if I stand the Renegade in melee range, I'll probably collateral the Daredevil, and both enemies are hovering around 50 HP already. The Thief dodges away and hits their heal, Withdraw, rolling back into me as I cast Shroud 5. I'm going for a kill here, and with the Renegade and Daredevil lifted by Shroud 5, I send a Shroud 2 through both and immediately follow up with Shroud 3 for big point blank damage, dropping the Renegade in the down state and dealing big cleave to the Daredevil, who's already used their heal. I throw my elite, Elixir of Ambition, attempting to predict where the Thief will dodge to, but it's just a straight up miss by me on that one. Reaction is more reliable, but prediction is so satisfying and impressive when you hit it correctly. Nevertheless, I have all boons rolling from Ambition, and I drop a Well of Darkness on the down Renegade. I swap the staff and hit a quick staff 2 to proc some regen on myself and go for the Stomp, which I should be able to complete since the cast is partially protected by the stab from my Ambition and pulsing blindness due to Well of Darkness. I stick the Stomp, and coming out of the animation, I go for a staff 5 from the Thief, who manages to dodge it. Respectfully, even though it may seem like this Thief player hasn't done much, sometimes dodging and kiting until help arrives will eventually lead the Thief to coming out on top, and Daredevils are loaded with dodges and evades. I eventually down the Thief while they're still in stealth with a point blank Shroud 2, then it's just send autos and a Shroud 2 until I get the kill with the Shroud 3 dash for 5k. Next up is a 1v2 against a Platinum Colonel Vindicator and a Sultra Willbender, who +1s during the no down state event. The Vindicator and I mutually dismount each other with our Warclaw Spears. I dodge and hit Spec Walk. The very new to World v World Willbender +1s off his mount, and the Vindy has kind of dodged through me. So with Willbender on top of me, I drop a Well of Darkness at my feet for pulsing blindness. I throw all my equipped elixirs, Ambition, Promise, and Risk, granting myself every boon and blight stacks, while putting every damaging condition, poison, and weakness on the Willbender, who is about to have the exact experience you'd expect a World v World rank 5 Willbender to have after eating 3 elixirs. I shift in the Shroud, hit a point blank Shroud 3, dropping them to 11%, and they die quickly after to rolling Condi damage. Welcome to World v World, my friend, and thank you for the contribution to my video. Stick with it, you'll improve, it gets better. The Vindicator heals up to near full, and after a Shroud 2 and some Shroud autos, has been dropped back down to under 50%, so this Vindy is pretty glassy. While I have taken very little outside of incidental damage, and most of the health I am currently missing is due to my own blight stacks. The Vindy Greatsword 5 ability, Eternity's Requiem, can do big damage, but since I managed to dodge nearly all of it, this Vindy is in full-blown retreat. I hit a Sword 5 Fear, Sword 4, and double send Sword 3 leaps to help close the gap, switch to Staff from longer range, hit a Staff 5 to interrupt their heal, and then a Staff 3-4 combo to send them back to spawn. The next clip is a solo ranked Capricorn match around mid-gold rating. Leading up to the clip, the enemy team has overwhelmingly won the first minute and a half, securing their home and mid nodes, wiping us mid, and decapping our home node. Our Thief gets caught by the enemy Soul Beast trying to decap far, and our Tempest is fighting outnumbered mid. I see our Herald is spawning right behind me, and assuming they'll go mid, I go straight for our home node. I know the enemy team has a Rifle Deadeye, which can be very difficult for Necro to deal with, but having played Thief for so long, I feel like I can either land a fast kill on the enemy Deadeye or force them to disengage and head elsewhere. I grab home and head to mid, where the enemy team has just finished cleaning up a fight. Our Daredevil has spawned and is likely to head towards mid, and I know the enemy team may be low on cooldowns, having won the first 2 minutes of the match. So I'm looking to shift the momentum with a big play. To be clear, big plays aren't always high percentage plays, and better players than me might say to take the higher percentage safe play. That disclaimer aside, I popped back walk pretty early as I'm about to run this corner. It is early, but if I have to recall, I want to place away from mid with multiple avenues for movement in case I need to evade. I drop Staff Box 3 and 4 on the edge of this box, and then a Staff 5 Fear on the enemy Deadeye, and a Staff 2 to drop some bleeding stacks. I dodge into the ring mid, and knowing the enemy team has so much range damage, I drop a Corrosive Cloud to block projectiles and reduce some enemy healing potential since I'm looking for huge damage here. I also drop my Well of Power, so more boons and more damage potential, although I definitely could and should have placed this a little better. I throw my heal Elixir of Promise, which you might think is strange at a glance, but what I'm going for here is blight stacks for myself and poison on the enemies a hit. Again, I'm going for maximum damage and maximum healing reduction on the enemy team. I throw my Elite Ambition basically at my feet, instantly dropping the Deadeye from just under 40% to just under 50%. This gives me blight stacks, drops every damaging condition on most of the enemy team who are all collapsing onto me at mid. As soon as I get that Ambition off, I shift in the Shroud and point blank Shroud 3, instantly downing the Deadeye. I drop my Shroud 5, catching every enemy around me, getting several interrupts, and I begin leaping with Shroud 4, sending a Shroud 2 as soon as I land, knocking the Engineer and quickly downing the Soul Beast with autos and a hand from our Daredevil, who's engaged into the fight to try to help me clean it up. Unfortunately, as the enemy Soul Beast drops a downstate, I get yanked by the Engineer downstate ability, and I eat a whole mess of conditions while I'm already low and out of resources. This would have been a nice time to have Well of Power. I dodge into the healing ring and swap to swords. I'm trying to get a Sword 4 off with the lifesteal. If I get the cast off, I probably get a decent chunk of healing here, but unfortunately I get CS'd and drop quickly after. The enemy Necro starts rising one of their teammates, and seem to realize that if they get a stomp on me, it's probably more valuable. When they seem to head over to stomp me, I drop a fear on them. Genuine shout out to not one but two teammates for going for my res. Hey, I appreciate y'all for that one. Our Daredevil winds up getting a stomp before the res is finished, and I rally, dropping some damage with Sword 2 and 4, do some dodging, enough to buy time for my promise to come off cooldown. I throw it and get myself back over half HP, drop some damage and poison on the enemy Engineer, shift into Shroud and dash towards them with Shroud 3, and leap through back towards our spawn with Shroud 4. The enemy Necro has nowhere to go, and they eventually fall. At the end of this extended sequence, the enemy is still up on node control and have a 100-point lead on our team. Nevertheless, we've changed the momentum for our team from negative to positive, and within a minute of the end of this clip, we managed to get the cannon, flip all 3 nodes to red, and have a numbers advantage. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find the full match from this game, but at the end of the recording I do have, my team is up over 100 points with node control, map control, a numbers advantage. So never underestimate the power of momentum. Next up is a clip from an unranked fauxfire match. Unlike the prior clip, in this match, our team has a 300+ point lead in a game that's already been going for a while. This is unranked and we have a huge lead. Exactly the kind of game where I'm looking to fight the entire team by myself when possible. At the start of the clip, I hit Spec Walk as I approach the node, where our Herald has already been full killed and our Deadeye is around half health. The enemy team has 4 players at the node, a Hammer Weaver at near full HP, a Vindicator at near full HP, a Berserker around 75 HP, and a Spectre who's a bit under half health. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue what Hammer Weaver does, so my goal here is to engage the 3 players on the back line on the node, while the Hammer Weaver seems committed to chasing our Deadeye. I throw my Sword 5 Fear into the Berserker, which catches the Zerker and the Vindy, and I immediately drop a Sword 4, which catches the Zerker, Vindicator, and Spectre player as well, who immediately drops into kill range. The Spectre drops Shadow Refuge, a pulsing AoE stealth field, and catches the same 3 enemy players, stealthing them all. Before the Shadow Refuge even lands, I've already preemptively started dropping my Well of Darkness, which will do damage, blind, and chill anyone who it hits. The Spectre gets knocked from the first damage tick from Darkness, and I shift into Shroud, dropping a point blank Shroud 3 under the down Spectre, and then Shroud 4 leap under the Zerker, interrupting something. I know the Vindy is still in stealth, and I want to play around this down Spectre, so if the enemies start going for a res, I get some easy CC with the Shroud 5 on the down Spectre, and this is exactly what happens. I keep my target on the Spectre, and I see their health starting to jump. Time to hit that Shroud 5. With the Vindy lifted and the Zerker accidentally walking into the Shroud 5, I throw a Shroud 2 on all 3 for big damage. I get the full kill on the Spectre with auto cleaves, and while the Vindy is still pretty healthy, the Zerker drops to sub 20% HP and becomes my next priority. They try to do a little kiting, pop cooldowns, and between the Vindy and the Zerker, both manage to do pretty massive damage to me, but the Zerker is already so low that I'm able to down them with a point blank Shroud 3, which also chunks the Vindy. Nearby, the Hammer Weaver has downed her Deadeye, so I know if I go down here, I'm probably looking at our spawn shortly after. With the Zerker down and the Vindy around half, I kite her in this little wheelbarrow, pop my heal, Elixir of Promise, which also hits the Vindy for decent damage, and throw my Elite, Ambition, which chunks the Vindy further, dropping them to 30% HP and granting me all boons. In the back of my head, I'm trying to time the Zerker using the downstate self-rally, Vengeance. I throw my Spite Signet onto the Vindicator. This probably seems like overkill, and maybe it is, but with the Zerker Vengeance surely coming up soon and the Hammer Weaver +1ing on top of me shortly, I feel like my best bet to pull off this fight is to ensure I down the Vindy right now. If they manage to get a big heal off or the Hammer Weaver somehow heals the Vindy, I'm toast for sure. With Spite and Ambition contis rolling, I hit Spear 2, downing the Vindicator and cleaving onto the Weaver, as well as giving myself some HP back. With the Vindicator down, I'm trying to turn my attention back to the Warrior, who's healing. I get rooted, I assume by the Weaver, but I port to the Warrior after sticking a Spear 4 and reactivating. I throw a Spear 5 onto the down Zerker. Maybe a Spear 2 would have been better there for lifesteal, but I know the Vengeance is about to hit. I probably should have immediately gone on the Shroud and tried to kite away with a Shroud 4 leap, Shroud 3 dash, and protected myself with Shroud 5. But instead, hoping I could time a Sword 5 Fear to buy myself a few seconds. I swapped swords. I actually timed the Sword 5 perfectly, but unfortunately the Weaver blocks my line of sight to the Warrior and eats the Sword 5. Here's another chance to Shroud and kite, but instead I go for a Sword 4, trying to get some lifesteal, and unfortunately get knocked as it lands.
Fixing these types of mental errors can come with time, but you can accelerate your improvement by watching YouTube videos.
Thankfully, our Herald has arrived and cleans up the Zerker, setting them to spawn and rallying me. At this point, I drop my Well of Darkness and heal onto the down Vindy. Whatever Hammer Weaver does, it's bunkery, and it seems to have decent condition damage and defensives. So this stalls the inevitable outcome, but the Vindicator eventually expires, and I won't bore you with the extended chase onto the Hammer Weaver, who does eventually fall. Our next clip is on Eternal Battlegrounds, a 1v2 versus a pair of guildmates, a Scout Daredevil and a Bronze Invader Willbender. These are admittedly low ranks, but remember, the beauty of Guild Wars 2 is that player skill comes above everything. Time and experience generally contribute directly to skill level, but I've had hard fights versus low-level rank players, and comically easy fights against ranked 10k players. No shade at anybody. Take the fights that present themselves. Take every fight seriously, don't underestimate any opponent, and control what you can control. This duo is just taking the sentry in between Red Overlook and Ogre Watch. I pop Spec Walk and leap forward with Sword 3. The Willbender reacts first, attempting to port onto me, but I dodge his opener and land some damage onto the Daredevil with Sword 4. I go for a Sword 5 Fear onto the Daredevil, which they dodge, and a Sword 2, which they also dodge. The Willbender is staying on top of me, but they haven't really managed to connect with any damage yet. I know the Willbender is probably going to go for a spin on me soon, so I drop a Well of Darkness to give myself some passive protection via blind on the Willbender and possibly the Daredevil if they steal in. Right on time, the Willbender spins onto me, and I also drop my Elixir of Ignorance at my feet, adding more blind and doing damage to both enemies, with the Daredevil having collapsed onto me as well. I am going for maximum blight stacks to brute force these two melee down, so I drop my heal and my Elite at my feet, once again catching all 3 of us. I shift into Shroud and instantly down the Thief with an 8.1k crit from a point blank Shroud 3 dash. Shroud 5 knowing that the Willbender has been on my heels the entire fight, lifting them and leaping with Shroud 4 while they're still midair. The impact from landing Shroud 4 downs them right next to the guildmate. From there, it's just finishing the job with Sword Autos and Sword 3 leaps for style points. Our final clip is a 1v3 with a little NPC assist as a trio of greens try to take Odell Academy, the Red Northwest Mage Tower on Desert Borderlands. Before we get into this final clip, I want to once again say thank you for watching. Thank you all so much for the kind words on Shadowfall and your support over the years. As much as I want to upload on a constant schedule, real life has really made that impossible. Organic growth on YouTube is hard enough, so the support y'all have given me, especially recently as I try to make crazier montages and better videos, it really means the world to me. If you're still watching and have enjoyed the video so far, if you're not already subscribed, and if you haven't already liked the video, please consider doing so if you find value in this content. I'll keep trying to make better, crazier videos for the community. Love and respect to you all. At the start of the clip, I leap off my mount and go into Spec Walk. You'll find that I utilize this tech frequently, going into Spec Walk early, and it's because I find it really valuable to start a fight and have a way to instantly reset in case the amount of upfront damage is overwhelming and I need to snap back and assess how to approach a fight, especially since I'm generally taking outnumbered fights. I throw Sword 2 and Sword 4, which do pretty big damage, and I leap forward with Sword 3. Now that I've thrown myself into the thick of it, I drop Well of Darkness at my feet, and seeing a Catalyst and a Firebrand, I'm just going to throw everything here and try to quickly overwhelm them with damage, knowing that they will have to be mindful of myself and the Tower Lord. I throw Promise and Bliss at my feet, and I'm going for Ambition as well, but mistime it slightly, entering Shroud before Ambition goes off. I know, shocker. Nevertheless, I shift in the Shroud and hit a point-blank Shroud 3, doing big damage to the enemy Zerker and Firebrand while the Catalyst attempts to dodge away. I immediately leap onto the Firebrand and Zerker, drop a Shroud 5, Shroud 2 combo onto the Zerker, who also quickly goes into downstate. Unfortunately for the Catalyst, their positioning could not have been worse for them and better for me, as they put themselves directly in line of my Shroud 2 as well, which drops them to 2% HP, and a single auto is all it takes to send them to downstate. From there, I shift out a Shroud and swap the staff, dropping marks on the down Firebrand and Zerker. Normally, down players won't proc Necro marks even when placed directly on top of them, but because I run Transfusion when I'm running a staff, I'm able to trigger the marks myself for more damage and poison and buffs on myself. I throw my Elite Ambition for stability to protect my stomp onto the Firebrand, which I stick. I know the Zerker is about to self-rally with vengeance, so I'm trying to time my Shroud 3 dash to impact the moment they pop up. Unfortunately, my timing is ever so slightly off, but now on top of the Zerker, I point blank leap with Shroud 4, land and send to Shroud 2, and then send them to spawn with a few autos. The Catalyst managed to use their downstate misform to get behind a column, and they're trying to heal, but unfortunately for them, with the other two players dead, our Tower Lord and I both turn our attention to the final player, who accepts their fate and misforms over the wall to their death. If you made it all the way here, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. And if you did, once again, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you really love the content, consider sharing with someone who you think might enjoy it or find it useful in some way. I've got so much more I want to do, and not just content revolving around Harbinger. Hard to believe, I know. I promise I'll always try to make the best content I possibly can. I have so many montages planned, so many collaborations, so many guides, so many game commentaries. Ladies and fellas, I want to do it big this year. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a great day and that all your 1vx fights are wins, or at least valuable lessons. I'll see you in the mists, in the Borderlands, in the Eternal Battlegrounds, and in the next video. Hit the lights.